I'll just go ahead and get started. Uh, Thank you for everyone who did come. We're super excited to have you. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic because I think it's really important that we have a lot of state officers and we have a lot of interest in this. So any way we can help to get more state officers is definitely good. I'm excited. So I'll ask Sydney to share her screen and we'll start talking about the PowerPoint. Awesome. So again, welcome everyone. This is our monthly member meeting on running for a state office led by myself, Zebediah Medina. This year, I am serving as your president for New Mexico FCCLA. And then also serving with me on the council is Kylie Costin, the vice president of community service, membership, and public relations. So my experience in as being a state officer includes serving on the council for 3 years. I've served as junior vice president of membership, and then I also served as first vice president, and now I'm serving as president. I began as a middle schooler on the connections team. So I actually ran as an 8th grader and then served as a 9th grader on the connections team. I've attended 2 national conferences as a state officer, and I've also had the opportunity to serve on the on the nominating committee for the national officers. So that was a really cool experience. I got to meet all of the national officer candidates, and then I helped throughout the process narrowing down to the eventual national officers that we had last year. I've had multiple opportunities over the years to attend workshops and trainings to become a better leader, and I've been able to connect with other student leaders from all across the state. This includes not only people at FCCLA, but I've also had the opportunity to serve with or to meet other student leaders from other CTSOs across the state and across the country as well at other FCCLA events. So I have a couple chat questions in here. What is your first impression when you see a state officer at an FCCLA event? So go ahead and start putting those down in the chat, and we'll circle back around and talk about those when we get them. So a big thing about running for state office, and the big thing that a lot of people have questions about, is the actual process of running for state. So the first step would be discussing the process with your advisor, family, and friends. These are your stakeholders, and they're the people that are going to support you most during the year. So it's really important to get your chapter advisor on board, because they're the one who's actually going to be signing off on you running, and they're the one that's going to be helping you get to and from different events. And then your family and friends are really important, because as you may get busy or as you may get stressed during the year, they're the ones that are going to provide support for you. So the first thing you want to do is talk to your stakeholders about running for state office and if it would be a good fit for you. After you've done that and you've decided, hey, I think I'd be a great state officer, the next step is to visit our NMCTSO website, ctlp.com, under the FCCLA tab, and you can find the officer application and handbook. And so the officer application is due by February 12th, and it just includes a lot of questions about yourself, about some of your experiences, and about why you think you'd be a good fit for the state executive council. And then also we have the handbook, and that just goes over officer rules and officer expectations so that you know what you're signing up for. So those are really important to go over and look through thoroughly. The next step would be to take a knowledge test at the state executive council conference. So if you're accepted, you get to go to state, and then you get to take this knowledge test. And so this just tests your FCCLA know-how and knowledge to make sure that you're invested in FCCLA and that you do know about FCCLA. The next step, if you pass the knowledge test, would be an interview with the nomination committee. And so during that, you just give them your speech that you have to prepare, and then they ask you some interview questions about being a state officer and the types of responsibilities that come along with it. The final step is to present your speech in front of the state delegation in our business meeting. And so this is your opportunity to introduce yourself to the members and write about the state prompt for that year. You're also asked a situational question, and so you have to have a response to, you don't know that beforehand, you're asked on the spot, and so that's a great way for you to show that you can think quickly on the spot and come up with good answers to people who may be asking you about FCCLA, because it's always a question that's related to something about FCCLA, and an answer that we're looking for, an answer for someone that wouldn't know that much about FCCLA. And then the final step after that would be voting. And so the entire state delegation votes, and if you get in, then you can look forward to tons of fun and exciting adventures throughout your entire term on the state executive council. So we've got some great responses in the chat, so I'm going to come back and look at those old ones. Let's see real quick.
I can read those to you to make it easier. Would that help you?
Yes, that'd be great.
So we had one that says, my first impression was that they must be very brave and dedicated. Another one said, my first impression is that they are very dedicated.
Yes, that's very true. So state officers take a lot of time to make sure that the state runs smoothly. And so your job as a student leader, and your job is to work with members, work with people on the board, and work with other stakeholders and advocate for FCCLA. So that's really big, and it's really important that state officers aren't afraid to take on those situations.
It says, someone else said that I look at their clothes and their appearance. Do they look presentable?
Right. So that's another big part. When we are advocating to our stakeholders and when we are at state meetings, we want to look professional, we want to look presentable. And so that's one of the major goals for being a state officer, is being well groomed, being clean and tidy. And so that's really important.
So Zeb, did you learn that? Did you know that before you were state
So
office?
great question. So I had a general idea, right, that I was supposed to be presentable and look professional. But while in FCCLA, I learned better skills for helping with looking professional. So I learned how to tie a tie. I learned my entire uniform. And then there's also a lot of different behind the scenes skills that go with professionalism, like knowing how to talk to people, knowing how to shake someone's hand, maintaining eye contact, lots of these soft skills that you can learn while in FCCLA that really help with the professionalism.
So how did you learn those?
I learned those at different workshops and different trainings throughout the years, which I do get into a little bit more later in the presentation. Okay, so we can go back to our slides. My next round of questions would be, what are some fears you may have about running for state office? I know a lot of times we get people who say, well, I'm really nervous about public speaking. I'm really nervous about having that kind of spotlight on me. And then I'm worried about, maybe can I juggle all of the responsibilities that come along with being a state officer? And so you're not just thrown into being a state officer. One of the events we do during the year is June training in Portales. And so this is typically an in-person event and a training where you can go and you can learn all the professional skills that you need to be a state officer, and all the different types of public speaking skills and leadership skills and time management skills that you may need throughout your term. So there's lots of support from other CTSOs, from our trainers at the state, and then from people on your own council and your own advisors. So you don't really ever have to worry about being on your own, because you're always going to have a team that's going to help support you, and you'll always have the resources that you need to be successful in the state council. So go ahead and if there are any fears you have about being state officer, tell us and we can definitely talk about those. We'll circle back around. Let's see. So moving on to the benefits of being a state officer. A lot of what I've taken from FCC, from being a state officer, is improving my leadership, learning advocacy, becoming a better public speaker, traveling and meeting other student leaders, and just overall having a blast. So, like I've mentioned before, there's lots of trainings and workshops throughout the year that you get to go to as a state officer, especially at the national conferences, at the fall rallies during the year, while you're at Roundhouse to advocate for FCCLA. There's all year tons of trainings that you get to take a part in and that help you improve your leadership overall and just become a better person, a more well-rounded student. One of the big things you learn is advocacy and how you can advocate for FCCLA and yourself. And so throughout the years, I've learned about how to present to people, how to give stakeholders important information and information they'd want to know, how to learn about stakeholders and how to learn about what they need to know and what they're interested in, which is really important. So you learn a lot of advocacy and you just become a better advocator. You also become a better public speaker. I like to think I'm a pretty good public speaker, and I didn't start out like that. So I was very quiet and I stumbled a lot and I stuttered a lot. But throughout the years, I've had lots of practice to present in front of people and other students. And that's really helped me become a better public speaker all around. Finally, the traveling and the meeting the other student leaders. This is one of my favorite parts. Like I said before, I've been to two national conferences as a state officer. I've been to Anaheim and Atlanta, and both were really fun. It's great to be able to go not only for the different types of events, like in Anaheim, we went to Disney World, but also for the different trainings and stuff they have there. And the conferences are just so fun. One of my favorite parts is trading pins with other people from all across the country. And so you get to hear great public speakers, you get to go to really good workshops, and there's even a part of the national conference where you can go and you can attend booths. And then aside from the national conference, I've been to Santa Fe a couple times, and I've got to go to the Roundhouse. Just this last week, a couple weeks ago, we went to a summer camp in Sacramento, New Mexico, where we got to do a ropes course and do a lot of leadership training. So there are tons of different opportunities for you to broaden your horizons as a state officer. So all around, I would say that it helped me become a better person and more well-rounded person, because I learned plenty of career skills while also learning, hey, I really like to travel, and hey, I like to meet other student leaders and other students that are like-minded and just get to talk with them. So there's lots of things that I have taken away from being a state officer. Another thing is that I would say that I've become a more competitive student. And so I'm a senior this year, and I've been filling out a lot of college applications lately. And knowing how to advocate for myself from FCCLA has really helped in my college applications, and just writing them and knowing how do I best present myself. And then colleges are also looking for students that are committed to different things and different programs that they really care about. And so being a state officer can help show, hey, I'm willing to take a leadership position, I'm willing to improve myself, and I'm willing to help an organization that I really believe in. And so those are all qualities that FCCLA helps to boost that colleges are looking for. So I've become a better leader, a better advocate, a better student. I've become a better public speaker. I've traveled a lot, experienced a lot, and just overall have taken nothing but great things away from being a state officer. I'll go ahead and look at the chat now to see if we have any answers for my last question. Something from Donna, but no question, which is fine. If you don't, if you have any reservations or any questions, you can always reach out to the state officer team. We've been through the process, and it can be stressful, but as long as you are prepared and you prepare yourself well, you don't really have anything to worry about. I would say that being a state officer and serving on the council is one of those leaps of faith. I knew as an 8th grader that it was going to be a lot, and I wasn't totally comfortable with doing it, but I decided to take a step out of my, outside of the box, and I really worked. I'm really glad I did. I'm glad I took that leap. I'm glad I took that risk, because I have had nothing but good experiences from being and serving as a state officer. If you have any questions at all, now would be a good time. Oh, I'm sorry. First, the next slide is our next meeting, which we want to talk about real quick, which is all about programs and competitive events. We have a lot of interesting things happening at the state this year with STAR events and our national programs. And finally, if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. Donna just put my email in the chat. We also have social media. If you or someone you know wants to run for a state office position, and they just don't know where to start, they have questions, they have fears, feel free to reach out to myself and Kylie. We are happy to answer any questions you may have and help you just figure out the process, because we think it's really important that we have strong student leaders leading our program. And we believe that we have the students. We just want to make sure that we can encourage those students to take that risk and run for state office. So I'll say right now, are there any questions anyone has on running for state office?
Where do they find the information to fill out?
So that's at the CTLP website on ctlp.com, or it might be .org. I had the link.
NMCTSO.
NMCTSO. I have the link up in this other slide. Yes, right there.
Chat.
Perfect. So that's a great place to go. That has all the resources you'll need to fill out, and it answers a lot of other questions that we didn't cover tonight, such as different expenses, what kind of traveling you can expect to do. It's just full of a lot of information. So that's great. Are there any other questions?
Okay, do you have to have a certain GPA?
Yes, you have to. So we are a NMAA associated activity. So you have to have a GPA of, I believe, 3.4.
3.0.
3.0 or higher. And you can't have any Fs, I believe. Or else that would disqualify you from being a state officer. So you have to be NMAA eligible to run as a state officer.
You don't necessarily have to have any Fs. You just have to have a cumulative GPA of 3.0. However, if you do flunk a class and it causes you not to attend one of the mandatory meetings, then yes, that would cause you to have to be removed. So we encourage you not to have any Fs.
Yes. Are there any other questions?
Do you enjoy being a state officer?
Yes, I really enjoy being a state officer. So like I said earlier, this is my 3rd term serving. This year we're working on getting rid of term limits, and I wish that was something that I had available to me, because I would have run every year I could. I thoroughly enjoy being in a leadership position, working with other student leaders. I've made some great friends on past and present state executive councils. I'm still friends with all of my other state officer other members on the council. I'm still friends with them to this day. It's just something that I really enjoy, and I can't recommend it enough to students.
Thank you.
You've got 3 other officers on this call as well. If you wanted to, if Kylie or Sydney wanted to chime in as well.
I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself for a second. Yeah, I was a state officer for 3 terms as well. And then I was a national officer back 2017, 2018. And I ran for state office in the 8th grade like Zeb, and I agree. It is probably the best decision I've ever made. It helped me grow in so many ways, and it gave me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I didn't take that leap and run. So I definitely recommend it. Even if you don't think that you can do it, or you're worried about talking in front of people or anything like that, just go for it, because I promise it will be the best decision you've ever made.
Kylie, did you want to say something?
Yeah. I was gonna say, so I haven't been an officer for long, but I can tell you that it is, while it's a lot of fun, it also, I've grown in a lot of ways. I think probably the best impact it's made on me is honestly my public speaking, because Ms. Donna wouldn't know this, but I can honestly be a little bit shy around people I don't know super well. And then I got up at fall rallies and spoke in front of a lot of people, and it's kind of just gone. I mean, I can do it now.
I ran as an officer too, and I was very, very shy. In fact, the first time I ever talked in public was when I gave my speech as an officer, and it terrified me. And I will tell you, I am the person I am today. And that, guys, that was a long time ago. That was 40 years ago, or 41 years ago. And I'll tell you, the impact it makes for running for an office is tremendous. Even if the public speaking scares you, please don't be afraid of that, because we train you how to overcome that, like Holly says, and we give you opportunities to do it and practice it, and we have lots of fun trying to do it. But the thing that I loved about being an officer is I got to serve others. I got to help out with others. I got to meet new people. I am a people person, so I like to meet all the new people. And then I found out I love to travel, and I got to travel with FCCLA that I didn't get to do with my family. We didn't have a whole lot of money, and we didn't travel a lot, but I was able to do it with FCCLA. So that was another aspect of it that I really liked about it, besides learning the leadership skills that led me to the career I have today, and helping other students. So it's an opportunity. Someone said it takes a lot of courage. The most courage you have to have is taking the first step to run. And after that, it's kind of, we walk you through it. I mean, Zeb can tell you, you've got a whole support system helping you along the way. You're not going to be doing it by yourself. Right, Zeb?
Yeah, exactly. I remember as a 6th grader at my first state conference, when I was watching the state candidates for that year present, I was like, oh my God, I can never do that. I literally thought, I will never run for state office. And then 8th grade year, I just decided to do it. I decided to take that leap like we were talking about, and I've never looked back. So it's an awesome experience. Are there any other questions that we have? Okay, awesome. Again, if there are any questions you may have afterwards, you think, oh, I should have asked that, feel free to reach out to us. We have our social medias and our emails in the chat. So feel free to reach out and ask myself and Kylie any questions you may have. If you know someone who's been considering and just wasn't here tonight, let them know that they can reach out to us and we can help them. I believe we'll also be posting this on our YouTube channel. So if you know someone who missed tonight that just couldn't make it, let them know that this will be available and they'll be able to watch this and get all the information that they may need. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.
I have one more thing to add. Look, the application's on that website. It's going to come available tomorrow. The website was down last week, so we couldn't get it up. And so it's going to be up there tomorrow. The other thing is, I forgot what I was going to say. It must not been important. Deadline to register is February 1st. Okay. And if you have any questions about the application, you don't, and you're not sure, reach out to Zeb, reach out to Kylie, and they can help you fill that out. But oh, someone said, Isaac, you need to consider being a state officer next year. You would be perfect. So you need to listen to him, Isaac. That's what I was going to tell you. This organization is as strong as its leaders. And it's a student-led organization. We don't make the decisions. You can ask Zeb and you can ask Kylie, who makes the decision on what the state leadership conference is? Who makes the decision on what happens? Y'all do. And if we don't have officers, we can't do that. So we need leaders to lead this organization. You have adults helping and guiding you, but really and truly, you're the ones that make those decisions, and we've got to have leaders to do that. So yeah, I don't think it's just Isaac. I think you need to reach out and find some people to challenge them and step out of your comfort zone and see what the best person that you can be. Okay, Zeb, I'm through.
Awesome. Thank you, Donna, for those wise words. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. We don't want to keep you too long. We hope that this was informational. And don't forget to come to our next meeting in December on our STAR events and our national programs. Everyone have a good night. Thank you so much.